This was one of the most wonderful events. It's a concert that took place in the series of Dmitri Chvorostovsky and Friends. And we all knew that there were upcoming performances with Sandra and Dmitri. The Metropolitan, Covent Garden, San Francisco Opera. And this was just the ideal opportunity to bring Sandra to Moscow. She had never been to Moscow. To perform with Dmitri. So this was the first time that they'd ever sung together. And you'll see this incredibly intense music making that's going on stage. The whole experience of being in that tremendous concert hall, which is one of the best acoustics in the world, working with Dmitri for the first time, Dmitri experiencing working with Sandra for the first time. They'd seen each other at the Met and they'd knowing each other, but I think that the fact that they really had only this was the first time that they were working together, that it was a very exciting experience for both of them, and it was something that then everybody was looking forward to everywhere else, because they came to the Met and then they went to Covent Garden, and then they, as I said, went to San Francisco, and their Trovatore together has become the Trovatore. So you're going to see it for the first time that they ever did it together here in the Great Hall of the Moscow Conservatory. The Great Hall of the Moscow Conservatory is one of the great concert halls. Everybody in Russia had performed there, all the greats, Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, everybody who was anyone. It was built in the late 19th century, and the two Rubinstein brothers, Anton and Nikolai, were heads of the two conservatories in Imperial Russia. One of them was in Moscow, the other was in St. Petersburg. And both have tremendous architectural and acoustic significance in both cities. A beautiful concert hall at the conservatory in St. Petersburg as well is a great joy and treat to perform in. And it was in need of tremendous renovation and I should say care. And for the last 20 years I'd been intimately involved with that concert hall, with many performances there and recordings. In fact, most of Dmitri's recordings were done at the Great Hall of the Conservatory with my orchestra. So we've done a lot of wonderful things there, and it was nice to know that this particular concert was one of the last concerts at the hall before it underwent quite an extensive renovation. And I'm very happy to report that the renovation took place since this concert was a couple of years ago, and I'm recording this interview now in 2011. It's nice to report that the hall is in gorgeous shape. Acoustically, it has not been changed at all, so this great traditional fantastic acoustic that was always present in that gorgeous hall is in good condition, and the hall is in stellar shape. So it's ready for many more generations of great musicians to perform there. What was wonderful about this performance is that, again, the fact that they did the Trovatore, the scene from Act 4, and they did this wonderful scene from Ballo. And I don't believe that Sandra had performed Ballo before. Of course, Dmitri had done it many times. And it was just a brilliant performance of that scene, and the music is so vibrant and fantastic, and the singing was great. And on the CD, we have an extra added bonus of the recognition scene from Simon Boccanegra. So if you don't have that CD yet, the orchestra that we use in this particular CD and the DVD is the Philharmonia of Russia. It's my hand-picked creme de la creme orchestra of all my very close friends and colleagues who are musicians in various orchestras around Moscow. In fact, somebody in some newspaper someplace along the line called it the creme de la Kremlin, which I thought was kind of cute. But in any case, these are great musicians who come together and we do these special events. And for me, one of the most special events, of course, is Chvorostovsky and Friends. Anything to do with Dmitri Chvorostovsky is special, and when he's got his friends involved, is even more special. This concert in particular was part of his series. It's wonderful to have these great musicians come together and perform with enthusiasm, with tremendous dedication. It's a unique musical experience, and I think that the intensity with which the orchestra performs is something that is going to be very captivating to the listener. What is wonderful is to work with Dmitri in the rehearsal period. You know, a lot of singers, sing half voice, and they come and they're not, going to exert themselves much during the rehearsals, and are saving themselves for the performance. And inevitably, Dmitri comes with that in mind. But about 2 minutes later, it's really an incredible experience, because he's like half humming, half singing in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, he's singing full out, full force, total emotion, total dedication, total commitment to the work that he's singing, to the aria or the duet or whatever. And of course, the partner involved here, Sandra, is a very intense musical personality, and I think that the blend and the mix of them getting to know each other, first of all during the rehearsal period, and playing off of each other, really made for an incredibly interesting performance on the stage of the Great Hall of the Conservatory. Now, they even did a little mise en scène, and there was a little bit of, it wasn't just a straight concert performance with two singers standing there and singing. They actually acted out, and we'll see what they did on the stage, but they made that a intimate opera setting, even though there were 100 people standing, sitting behind them playing. These rehearsals are sometimes so intense and so wonderful, and rehearsing in that way builds them up for the performance, so that they are already in tune to each other's tremendous musical intensity, that they have already rehearsed in the rehearsal. So it's not like, okay, fine, we can kind of do it halfway during the rehearsal, but then we'll really let everything go in the performance. They actually rehearsed very intensely in the rehearsals, and that's why you see the type of intensity and that tremendous bonding that took place during that performance. And I'm thrilled that we were the first to present Dmitri and Sandra in Trovatore, which she's done probably 100 times, and he's probably done 100 times, but it was the first time that this incredibly intense scene from Act 4 was performed together by these two great artists. As well, they performed this tremendous scene from Ballo. And the way that they acted, the way that they made the stage of the conservatory, which is a concert stage, they turned it into an opera stage. And it's such a unique musical and intense musical experience when you see this performed without any decor of any kind or special scenery of any kind, and it's just two people reacting to each other and bringing that music to such life and to such intensity that it's an important historical document. What is interesting for me also was to bring Sandra, who's an American, to Russia. I've always loved hosting my American friends and colleagues in Russia. I was born in the U.S. and of Russian parents, Russian Armenian parents, and I've been living in Russia for the past 20 years. So conducting the Moscow Chamber Orchestra, the Philharmonia of Russia, various orchestras around Russia, St. Petersburg, and it's always been a wonderful experience to introduce musicians to this tremendous Russian musical heritage. And hopefully artists like Sandra and Dmitri will be performing Russian repertoire as well together. One of the wonderful things about meeting Sandra in Moscow and doing the concert with her there, with Dmitri, was that we really got to be very close friends, and we decided that it was high time that she did her first solo CD. So from this Verdi Scenes CD and concert and DVD, subsequent DVD that came out of it. We also then a year later recorded in my estimation, a fabulous CD of Verdi arias, and I think that it's done a great service for Sandra. Everybody around the world knows how wonderful she is, and I'm very, very happy. I'm so glad that we have this opportunity, this unique opportunity in Russia to film concerts. It's something that, it's very rare in the world. Just lately, and I do mean lately, in the last couple of years, we get the Met broadcasts, we get the Met simulcasts, and all these things, but very rarely do you get something from a concert hall. There are certain orchestras that can afford to pay for that sort of thing, like the LA Philharmonic and other things, but it's really a wonderful experience to have these historic events, of these first performances of great artists working together in these wonderful halls that we have in Russia, Moscow and St. Petersburg, to have these historic documents that are left for everyone to enjoy. Mm-hmm. Another thing that you'll find is quite unique is the fact that they announce each piece before the actual work is performed. And that is specifically done because not everybody was able to have a program in previous years. It's a tradition. And programs are purchased there, so you're not forced to purchase a program, and you still know what's being performed. Obviously, in a lot of the repertoire that is being performed in concerts all the time, everybody knows what it is, and everybody knows who the composers are, and of course it's obvious. But here, I have to say, was very interesting because Bala was never performed in Russia. They very rarely is it done. Maybe they did it at the Bolshoi previous years, but it's not something that is constantly done. Mostly it's Russian operas and popular European operas like Carmen, Tosca, La Boheme. I mean, these are the ones that are done. Hopefully now with the reconstruction, they'll be doing other concerts and other types of performances, and I hope that they will be doing some very interesting Verdi and Puccini operas that haven't been done before. Typically, well, I won't say European, but specifically Russian phenomenon with the flowers, with the gifts, with the books, with running up and asking for an autograph and all these sorts of things. It's a wonderful, touching experience. People that come to the concerts obviously need to come prepared with these things, so they think about it in advance. They actually go and buy the flowers someplace because there is the flower kiosk in the concert hall, of course. Here, opera houses or concerts, a lot of times you do see flowers being delivered from, the sides of the stage by ushers, especially with opera divas. But in Russia, it's for men as well. There's no difference between the men and the women on stage, so that there's this huge love that comes from the audience. They love their heroes, they love their people, they love their music, and they come prepared, knowing exactly what they're going to be listening to. They come interested, and it's a very exciting atmosphere downstairs in the garderobe, so to speak, where the cloakroom, when everybody's, of course, taking off their coats. It's a wonderful thing, and I must say that flowers are not cheap in Russia, so this is quite an expense that people go to bring these beautiful bouquets to the artists. This concert in particular, there were a lot of colleagues that were in the concert hall. Renee Fleming was there. I was doing a concert with her just a couple of days later in Moscow. Olga Guryakova, a wonderful soprano, was there. Many friends from the United States flew in. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. And it's, again, Chvorostovsky and Friends. It's an ongoing series of concerts that we do every year with Dmitri in the Kremlin, at the Great Hall of the Conservatory. Different artists coming, different artists performing. And it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for Dmitri to expand his friendship horizons with these great colleagues of his from around the world.